All right, welcome to Imagine Blue. We are here to discuss one battle after another. I'm OC,
Shuku.
and yeah, so I guess the central question surrounding this movie that we're here to discuss is Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another the best movie of the year, at least so far? What do you think?
Man, this is so interesting because when I first heard about this movie, I trust this movie was going to be good. And I saw a lot of hype on this movie. But it wasn't until I watched the movie where I was like, oh shit, this is something completely different.
Mm,
And for me, I don't know, man. It's crazy because it's like, not to ride on Sinners ride on Sinners for a while, but Sinners for the most part has been like the best movie of this year.
mm-hmm.
And to me, it feels like we got something that kind of, in my eyes, rivals it, and in some ways could surpass it if you look and think about it in certain aspects. Because I think one thing about this movie that stood out for me was the cinematography. Like the
Mm,
way the camera was always moving in certain scenes was just like I would never felt bored. Like
yeah.
this movie never felt like it had a slow moment. Now, to be fair, this movie is comedic. So a lot of times with comedy films, there's always has to be a punchline or a joke there. But there were definitely moments where it was slow and there was heartwarming moments. But the way the camera was done, it just you always felt engaged. And I appreciate the creativity as well as how the story was earned and how the story was played. That to me, yeah, I can literally say this could be one of the best movies of this year, as well as just the performances itself. Is just we have all top notch performances in this movie as well. So it's just, I mean, it's insane. Like I was really impressed with this film. Like literally, like beyond
Yeah.
my eyes.
So for me, I've been logging all of my films that I've seen in Letterboxd recently, and I feel like that's kind
Hmm.
of just like a clear and easy like reference to go back to, just to kind of like see where my mind is or where my mind has been. So I like went back and like I checked all the movies that I've seen this year, at least the new release movies that I've seen this year. And yeah,
Hmm.
out of all of them, one battle after another, I rated the highest.
Perfect.
So,
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I guess totally there, totally there. I may have
yeah,
to. I do want to
yeah.
rewatch this movie at some point, and I do want to see this in IMAX because I didn't see this in purely IMAX, but I did see in a like the movie theater I was in. It had a giant screen.
Mm,
It does make a difference. So I'm really curious how this is gonna work. But I guess we can go more deeper into it because I did mention certain factors about the
yeah.
movie. But I guess for you, what was your biggest thing that like why you think it like for you since you marked it the highest? Like why do you feel like it deserves that rank?
I think that it's one of those movies that number one you continuously think about after you finish watching it. And so
Mm,
for me, whenever the movie does that for me, it immediately kind of like bumps it up in my mind in terms of the quality. Even if it's a movie
mm,
that I might not have liked when I watched it, if I'm still thinking about it later on, then I know that like something impressive has happened, and it
mm,
probably deserves a little bit more consideration from me. So that's one, like the fact that I kept thinking about it afterwards. And then two, I think that uh, the story itself, it is a brilliant story, like it is like
mm,
the whole idea of following these revolutionary figures in a world that like looks a lot like our world, and like seeing
mm,
how things are from their perspective, and like understanding the inner workings of all of this underground um, espionage revolutionary type stuff. I think it's
mm,
super. It was creative. It was uh it had a message to say, and like all of these
mm,
things I think worked together to make the story itself quite brilliant. Is it
mm.
without flaws? I don't think so. But then I think also this is one of those movies that I would have to see multiple times to like really fully get, and like really fully like understand all of the different aspects of it. But yeah, how do you feel?
Yeah, as far as flaws, I feel like the flaws to me are minor. To me, like sometimes it could be nitpicking, like for example, because like the movie, it kind of begins with an earlier time period, and then obviously it transits to the future. That's supposed to be our time period. But if you really look at it, Like I don't feel like the style. Like for example, I don't feel like I didn't even know that we were having a time skip until they said it was a time skip because the way the time looked, it looked like even the beginning of the movie kind of looked like resembled our time, right? So I didn't really feel like there was too much of
Yeah,
a
which also
jump.
that might just be like a function of like the world we live in, because that's something that if you've seen, there's people who have actually mentioned this, is like the difference in um the aesthetic of like the 50s versus the 60s is actually really
Mm,
extreme, and that's just like over a 10-year span. But like if you look at our world and like people 10 years ago, it looks the same. Like we're wearing the same kind of clothes, we're like kind of driving similar car. Like there's no huge like difference that where you look at a picture and you can tell if that was taken yesterday, if that was taken 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
I could see that, but to be fair, because the if I'm correct, the daughter was well. First of all, before the daughter was born, we can make the assumption that it's been 20 years because the daughter, we
It
see
was
that
15
uh,
years.
the daughter was seven. The daughter was 17.
She was like 16, I
Pretty
think.
sure. I'm sure she was 17.
Okay,
Like I
either
could have
way.
sworn they said 16, but point is she was 17, and the story began before she was even born. So that's a 20-year gap, and I don't really feel like there's much of a didn't feel much of a change, right? But again, to me this is a minor gripe. Like it's not like that big of a deal that the time was a big like and one thing they did smart was they didn't show phones in the beginning, so we couldn't be like, oh wait, why is there an iPhone and it's 20 years later, you know what I'm saying? So it's a kind of that's a smaller gripe, and then another small gripe if I had to like really like if I'm really trying to dig for flaws here would be like I did find it kind of weird that after when the man, I'm forgetting the white dudes, the general white dude
Lockjaw.
who was Lockjaw, yeah. When after he died, I kind of find it weird that they kind of stopped looking for these they stop looking for these the daughter and the and Leonardo's Caprio's character. I find it kind of weird that it's like, okay, he's gone. We're just gonna
Well,
ignore that these people just kind of got away.
yeah, I don't think they
So
cared about them at all.
yeah,
Like, because the only reason that that happened was because of the connection to Lockjaw. Like
that's fair.
right. Like that was the only reason why this story ended up happening. And so without him, it was like, who cares, you know? But yeah, no, I think that it's definitely, I think part of my feelings in terms of like any flaws would be that I felt like the story was so much better after um the daughter like starts like the pursuit starts happening with the daughter. Like I feel like from the
Mm,
movie from that point on is such a better experience for me than the movie from
mm-hmm,
that point like and previous. Like everything up to that
mm,
point was like, okay, this is cool. But then once like the daughter is like running, I'm like, oh, okay, this is amazing. Like this is incredible. And so I think for
yeah.
me, and that would kind of take like multiple viewings, I think, for me to kind of fully solidify why I
Mm-hmm,
felt that way. Like why I didn't really rock with the first third of the film. Um,
mm-hmm.
at
I
least
will
as
say.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say though that I think because I mentioned that the movie is, it's partially a comedy, but it has dramatic moments.
Yeah.
I will say that I feel like that moment's when it started becoming more dramatic because I really felt like a lot of it, especially in the beginning, was very, very comedic. And I didn't even know it was a comedy movie to begin with. I thought it was like the trailer gave me a more dramatic feel. And then
Mm,
when I started listening to it, I'm like, oh, they're saying these lines. She's getting turned on by all this stuff. It's like this is very like they're showing specifically unhinged moments.
yeah.
So I was just like, okay, I get it. This is a comedic movie. But I will say that not that the comedic stuff wasn't great. Like it was very entertaining, but I do think that at that moment it starts becoming more dramatic. Like we start feeling more tension, we feel the stakes, we start feeling more we feel more concerned for the characters because another thing that I thought was also weird is that they kill. It seems like the mom was killed off screen, if I'm correct.
No,
Because the guy
she just
mentioned he killed.
left. Yeah.
Okay, because I could have sworn the what's his face, the white dude or the general mentioned that he killed her. But maybe he could have been lying.
I don't think
That's a possibility.
so. Yeah.
So I could have sworn he
Um
mentioned that he went back. He said that I could have sworn there was a scene where he talked to the people, and then he said that yeah, she escaped, and then I went back and killed her. So,
I
but he
don't
could be
remember that
lying.
part. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think so. I think like we're supposed to believe that she's like just out there somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which makes more sense. But
Right. Right. I think yeah, ultimately so I mentioned the story was brilliant, and then I think also the performances were great. Like Leonardo
yes, performances were
DiCaprio
really good.
is Leonardo DiCaprio. You know, like he's fantastic.
Yeah,
Um, um, the guy who played Sensei, he was also like,
Sensei was amazing. Yes,
why am I Benicio del Toro? Like yeah, that he did such a good job. Um, and
Tiana
then
Taylor.
Tiana Taylor was fantastic.
I
Uh,
was a little disappointed we didn't get enough of her in my eyes because I feel like her character was really good.
her character
It
was
was just like,
great.
what?
Her
It
character
was
was
like we
great.
got rid of her like that early. I was just like low
Yeah,
key. I thought the story was gonna be about her because it was like so much. The way the story was setting it up, it seemed like like she drove the first part, and then once she disappears, it's like it becomes a different story. But
right,
I mean, it's
right.
so I thought it was gonna be about her low key, but yeah, she was a great character.
Hmm.
Um, Even the daughter was
The
pretty
daughter.
good
This
for
was her first like major role.
yeah,
So
like
that
she
she
was
as
pretty
for the
good.
first major role, like she did a fantastic job. And then
Yeah, she did a really good job.
yeah, and Sean Penn as Lockjaw, he did great too.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
all the performances in this film were fantastic. I feel like one of the interesting things is I'm also starting to get a grip of Paul Thomas Anderson and like the movies that he directs. Uh, Before
Mhm.
this, really the only movie that I knew from him was There Will Be Blood.
There
And
will be blood. Oh, I've heard about that.
yeah, and that's for sure one of my favorite movies. Like probably
Mm.
top 15, if not like maybe top 10, but like definitely top
Okay.
15. But I think that and I didn't even really realize this until like the promotion for One Battle After Another started coming, is that I haven't seen any other Paul Thomas Anderson movies. Like I haven't seen any other movies from that director. And so
Mm.
just out of curiosity, I watched one of them called The Master. And
Master.
yeah, and I just like I feel like that one I didn't rock with it as much for whatever reason. The performances were great. Like he works with great actors. He works with great talent, which I think is a
Mm.
cheat code for sure. Because like
Okay, for
if your
sure. Yeah.
movies have like all of these fantastic actors, like Daniel Day Lewis was in There Will Be Blood, and then you've got Leonardo
Okay.
DiCaprio in One Battle After Another. Like you've got all of these, and then The Master had Joaquin Phoenix and
Oh yeah.
Philip Seymour Hoffman. So like yeah, you've got all of these fantastic actors and actresses in your films. That's for sure gonna like elevate it. But then also having like brilliant scripts and brilliant writing to go along with it and directing as well. It just like it pushes everything over the top. And so he's definitely a very good writer director. Like he makes great stories. I think one of the other movies from him that is on my list or radar is Magnolia and Boogie Nights.
Boogie
So
Nights.
yeah, those are two other films that, or at least of his like big films that I should watch. But yeah, no, I think this was definitely um up there for me. I think one of the other things that I was thinking about was the kind of opportunity to explore these two sides of this society that is kind of meant to be
Hmm.
representative of our society. You have like the French
Yeah.
75, the
Hmm.
revolutionary group, and then you've got the Merry Christmas group, the white
Mm.
supremacist group that's
Yeah,
like
that's very interesting.
does
Interesting.
all of these
Interesting.
things. And so
Yeah.
in a world where like these white supremacist um insane people hold all of this power, it kind
Mm.
of makes it a lot more palatable, I think, in a way to accept that these revolutionaries are um are robbing banks and like
Yeah.
breaking into immigration detention
Yeah.
centers and all of these things.
Yeah.
And like when you think about that, you think about like our world and what
Yes.
is what would be acceptable form of protest and revolution in our world today. And
Mm.
yeah, I think the messaging was done really really brilliantly. And so that's one of the things that I would want to focus in on a second viewing. Just
Hmm.
like pay
Yeah,
attention to that.
even yeah, to even add on to that, I was a little worried because like again, when I first saw the trailer, I wasn't really thinking about what I really didn't expect what I was getting into. And then when I realized this was going to be like kind of a message about like the whole, we got the revolutionary people versus this white supremacists, I was worried, okay, this is going to be a little political. And this is kind of like, we're already in a discourse right now with everything going on with the whole Trump stuff, and even with the whole like immigration and all this stuff. So
Hmm.
this, I was worried it would get too preachy. But what I love about this movie is it showed how both sides are kind of flawed. Like they didn't do it in a way that painted both sides. Like yes, obviously the narrative is going through the direction of the revolutionary. So obviously the
Yeah.
revolutionary is the general group that we're rooting for in the story.
Right.
But they didn't paint them as like, oh, these are just a
They weren't like
victim, like these
perfect.
perfect
Yeah.
victims that the supremacists just took over. It's just like,
Like it
okay,
showed that like
they did some.
revolution is messy, even though like
Yeah,
they might be
exactly.
fighting for the right things. Like you have to like the costs of what they're giving up, and like what
Hmm.
the responsibilities that they're not able to like care for anymore, and like how being part of this revolution is at odds with other things that are good, like being a mother, being like part of a family. It's like
Exactly.
you have all of these
Exactly.
competing uh aspects of who you are and who you're expected
Exactly.
to be. And I think that they kind of respected the the challenge of that, and what
Hmm.
that means
Yeah,
for our world.
exactly. And even with Tiana Taylor's character, they admit that like, yo, she kind of backstabbed her whole group. Like she's
Yeah,
like she
yeah,
basically, which we know why she did it, but at the same time, it's like yeah, she basically got them all screwed over, and
yeah.
basically anyone who was actually a real revolutionary was destroyed in the movie, and it was only just the two. It was basically her family people who weren't really for the cause that kind of survived at the end of it. So it's not a pretty picture, regardless if you go into it. And then vice versa with the supremacists, where it's like he's trying to be part of this secret society, and even though they try to do it for their own justifiable cause, it's like there's a cost for your own sense of moral justice that I've
Hmm.
seen in this movie,
Yeah,
and I like that
like
they showed it in a good depiction.
their white purity was like is so extreme that there was nothing that he could do to be a part of it, you know.
Exactly.
Like even though he's
Exactly.
going through all of this um chaos and destruction to like try to prove himself,
Hmm.
it's never enough. It's never enough.
Hmm.
um yeah, no, I think it's really good. I think this one of those movies that I'm for sure gonna be excited to watch again whenever I get a chance.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, just out of curiosity, because I know we mentioned Sinners, but what else movie do you think this year was also pretty on top, and why
Well,
you don't feel like it compares to this film?
here's the thing. So for me, my top four movies from this year so far have been One Battle After Another, Sinners, Superman, and Weapons.
Weapons, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one. So let's bring up Weapons, because funny enough, I feel like every movie we mentioned on that list were all Warner Brothers. Like they're all
Ooh.
been produced by Warner Brothers. So that's
Oh.
that's a funny thing.
Warner Brothers is on
Warner
top.
Brothers is killing. Yeah, it's killing the movie industry.
Yeah.
Like they really are helping us because they're all Warner Brothers produced. But I guess go with Weapons. What do you feel like Weapons? Is there anything you think Weapons did better than this film? And but so that's one question I would have.
Hmm. Um, is there anything that I feel like Weapons did better? Um, Dang, I want to say no, but like, I mean, obviously, like, Weapons is a horror film, so they had horror elements in it that were done better than anything that would be considered horror in One Battle After Another, even though it wasn't like trying to
Yeah,
be a horror
obviously that's
movie.
true. Yeah, exactly,
So,
that's
like,
true.
outside of that, I will say, because like one of the things, like, I really enjoyed Weapons. I really liked Weapons, but Weapons
Mm.
is not like a greatly written film. Like there's some inconsistencies and
Mhm.
some like things like when you think about it too much, like it kind of like falls apart a little bit. And you can explain
Yeah.
that away by with the theory that like this is a child who's like retelling the story of what happened in their
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
But then outside of that, I think that the movie itself, I can't say that like the writing was better than One Battle After Another,
Nah.
and so I can't say the acting definitely wasn't better. Like the acting was great, it was great, but like I don't think there was any performance in it that was similar to like Leonardo DiCaprio,
Yeah.
Benicio del Toro,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Regina Hall,
Yeah.
yeah, all of these great actors and
Yeah.
actresses.
100%. I was gonna say, see, I wanted to be to say like, like if the cinematography in this movie wasn't that great, I would have said Weapons would have had cinematography, because one thing I did love about Weapons was the cinematography. I think the
Mhm.
cinematography of Weapons is crazy, but the problem is even this movie, One About Ever, I feel like this is one of the best cinematographies I've seen in a movie for a long time.
Yeah,
You
one
know,
of my
so
favorite.
it's like,
Yeah, one of my favorite sequences in the whole movie was um, when Leo's character is running with the when everything from like when Leo's character first meets up with Sensei, when the cops are chasing out
oh
like everywhere through the
yes,
city, all the way to when he
yeah, those
falls
shots.
off the roof.
The
Like
roof. Oh yeah, that was such a
that whole
beautiful
sequence,
sequence.
I think, was just like perfection. And so,
I think
yeah.
for me, one of my favorite cinematography sequences is with Breonna Taylor's character when she's running away from the cops, and then you have like a scene where she's in the car, and you really feel the car, which I really love. Like every time you're in the car in
Mm,
this movie, you feel like you're there. Like when it like the crashes hit, you feel like you're in the crashes and stuff. So they
mm,
did a good job with that. But what I love about that is like you have that shot where she's in the car, and then it shows like an overshot where you see all the cars coming in, and then she gets out, but you see an overshot of her getting out, and it's just like it's an
yeah.
ongoing moving and pacing, and it's just like it was that moment I realized, okay, this movie's different. Like I felt it. I was like, all right, I'm sold. Like I
Yeah.
was bought in. I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, we're getting themselves into something great. So yeah, man, I agree with you. I don't feel like there's anything that Weapons, and I do agree, Weapons to me was a top movie, another top movie of the year as well. But yeah, yeah, like I said, the storytelling was a lot less tighter. And I do think, to be fair on Weapons' behalf, it was like the creator himself wanted to add the witch backstory, but due to runtime, he was told to remove it. But I do think that it kind of salvaged itself from the perspective of the boy, because even though you can make arguments with Weapons, like there's some things we didn't know about that could have been explained better. Same
Mhm.
time, it's obviously from a boy's perspective, and it's not like the witch is gonna tell, oh, by the way, back in blah 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 story,
Yeah.
we have a tree. Like she's not gonna tell that to like a 5-year-old boy, or not 5-year-old, 6-year-old boy or whatever, right? He's not gonna tell that. She's just gonna tell him this is how things work, blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
obviously, tight wise, it would have been better to tell the story like that and have a tighter thing. And this movie just demolished it. And I'm so happy. Like I'm just like, whenever I see a good movie, it lights up a smile on my face, and then I'm just like motivated and I'm excited, and
Mhm.
um, so I'm really happy about it.
Yeah. No, it was great. It was great. Everything. Yeah, this movie was definitely one that was like it had a lot of hype going into it, but
Mhm.
I think thankfully it lived up to the hype.
In some ways, even was surpassed the hype in my eyes. In some ways, I was like surprised.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really happy about that.
Same. Same. But all right.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any thoughts on One Battle After Another by Paul Thomas Anderson, if you agree with anything we said, if you disagree with anything we said, leave it in the comments
Mhm.
down below, and we will catch you guys later. Peace.
Peace, man. Warner Brothers is killing it.
Hey.